on the left, and Ella, the elephant, who was a diva, a rock sensation, and she was the big star of our movie. Next. Talk about appropriate. Walt E. Andrew Stanton, one of our top writer-directors up at Pixar, a fellow that worked on Toy Story, Bug's Life, who came in to help us on Toy Story 2, who wrote and directed the wonderful Finding Nemo, has now given us his latest film. And believe it or not, Andrew has done it again, because Wall-E looks like it's open to very good reviews and a very warm reception. So here's to Andrew Stanton and his new film, Wall-E. I'm really looking forward to seeing the finished film. I've been watching this film for the past couple of years, and I get a chance to follow these things as they move through production. That's one advantage I have, being associated with the companies. I can watch this stuff happen as I'm watching Pete Docter's new film take shape right now, his new film, Up, which will be coming out next year, I think. Next. And here's a film you'll be seeing this fall. Another one of our young artists, who's now a director, Chris Williams. I worked with Chris Williams when he was a young kid, just sort of getting started, on the film Mulan back in 1994. And now young Chris is going to have his first feature film. This film he directed is called Bolt, and you'll be seeing that in your theaters this fall. So look forward to seeing Bolt. Next. And I'm going to wrap it up with the project that I've got to get back to work on when I get home tomorrow. The Walt Disney Family Museum is finally in work. This work in progress is going on right now in the city of San Francisco at the famous Presidio, just down the road a piece from George Lucas's facility, Lucasfilm. So I was up at Lucasfilm in January, and after leaving Yoda and paying my respects to Yoda, I went down the road to the Walt Disney Museum, which is under construction and should open in 2010. So if you ever get out to San Francisco, stop in at the Walt Disney Museum. And that pretty much wraps up my memories of the mouse.
In the shot of the creative people for Hunchback, someone was sitting on the ground holding a cutout of a photograph of someone's face, black and white picture. Who was that person?
Oh, that person was, funny, I remember that now. Tone Tyne, who was one of our production assistants, interesting name, Tone Tyne, could not make the photo shoot, and so somebody held a cardboard cutout. That photograph was taken by none other than Chris Sanders, was the man behind the camera. Chris Sanders, as you know, was the writer and director of Lilo and Stitch, who's a very funny guy and a very talented guy in his own right. But that photograph was taken by Chris Sanders, who's a guy whose work I really love. I think Sanders is brilliant. Sadly, he's left Disney. He's now over at DreamWorks, where he's going to be directing a film at DreamWorks. Anybody else?
Yeah. In Germany, there... Yeah.
Oh, here you are.
Yeah, in Germany there is a comic book that's like the Mickey Mouse book, but it's still very much has a following. And I was wondering how connected is how connected is the German Disney with the American Disney? I mean, is there any connection between the comics there?
Is it a real bona fide Mickey Mouse?
It's real bona fide. It has the Disney logo and everything, so
okay.
It's real Disney. I mean,
oh yeah,
do you know anything about that?
We have colleagues all over the world. As a matter of fact, we used to have a gathering in Burbank of all of our artists and writers who would come from Spain, from Italy, from France, from Germany. They all do Disney material. As a matter of fact, I used to write material strictly for the German comics. I didn't have to write it in German, of course, because I don't speak German, but it would be translated for me. But yeah, I mean, Disney comics and the Disney characters are known around the world. And I think in some cases, they're almost even bigger in Europe and Asia than they are here.
I got one. Now, when you first started out as an animator at Walt Disney, it must have been pretty intimidating because you were the first African-American animator at that company. When you first started, did you feel that you really had to prove something, to Mr. Disney to prove that you really wanted to be an animator?
That's a good point. A lot of people have asked me that question, did I feel intimidated? I felt intimidated only by being a young artist. In terms of being an African-American, I never really gave it any thought. Maybe I should have, but all I wanted to do was, do my job and be accepted by the incredibly talented people at Disney. So I didn't feel that I had anything to prove, as like somehow I was a representative of all African Americans. So if I don't make it, then I've suddenly let everybody down. No, I didn't. I never felt that. I just felt that I wanted to be accepted, as we all did, by Walt Disney. But I just wanted to do my best work and gain approval from that. But I never felt I had anything other than my own talent or ability. That was all I cared about, proving that I could do the job. But it didn't go any further than that. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, please. You can yell. Oh, that story. Well, I told that at the super sponsor lunch. You weren't there. Okay. Oh, not that awesome. I'll try to do it briefly because the funny part was everybody thinks of Walt Disney as this kindly, gentle old man. And I used to remind people that, well, back in the 40s, these guys weren't old men. They were young men. Young men and women worked at Disney. And they were a pretty feisty bunch. And this story was told by Joe Grant, who actually worked closely with Walt Disney. And they used to travel back and forth to Washington, D.C. during the war. And they traveled by train. Well, to make the story short, on one train trip back to Washington, they kept being annoyed by a drunk on the train. And Walt and Joe were trying to have a meeting, and this drunk kept interrupting. And Walt would say, "Look, we're busy. You've come to the wrong car. Move along." And the drunk kept coming back. So Walt, being patient, "Look, buddy, you've had a few too many to drink. We're trying to conduct business here. Go away." Well, the drunk came back a third time, and that was it. And Walt said, "Come here. Let's step outside." And they step outside. And Joe Grant stayed in the compartment, and he